this is Ollie, and welcome back. So today we will be talking about one of my favorite D&D characters that I have made. Before you click off, you don't need to know a bunch about D&D to enjoy this video. With that, let's get into the video. So, the character I'm talking about is Angie! I love her so much. And if you watched the last video, you probably saw nearing the end a bit of art of her, because I didn't have enough speed paint to go over the whole script with it. Here is some explanation. It is a D&D character I made based off of a HSR character that I really like the design of. Designing this character in general was a bit of a journey. Her design process was interesting because I started off with the bare bones. She was a mix of Agar Agar Cookie from Cookie Run Kingdom and Castoris from Star Rail. So I was going to make her into a puppet at first, but then I thought about Castoris's design and I thought pretty it was and how much I loved it. Future me, if you haven't already, put a photo of Castoris on the screen. I love all the symbolism in the design. When I first designed her, she was meant to be a older elf. Physical body didn't change much because of how the elf species she was a part of worked. When I played her, mine just didn't work with her personality. Because at first, I imagined her personality to be very extroverted, a very extroverted character that had a sense of dark humor. But when I played her, she ended up being very introverted and very socially awkward. And yes, to all the Star Rail fans, I know that my first idea for her personality is nothing like how Castoris acts. The reason that Angie is like this is mainly because of her upbringing, but more about that as we go into our next part. Not about the design process, but I really only touched on her actual backstory. Now, let's get into that backstory because I spent a long time doing it. To the point where she has an entire notebook that is filled up that I actually do need to edit after I finish this video. When she was young, Angie's family gave her up. Reasons are unclear why they gave her up, but that doesn't matter. Maybe they couldn't take care of her. Maybe they just didn't want her. But now Angie is in the care of Mrs. Burton. Burton is a owner of Burton's Children's Home, the place where Angie grew up. Seems very nice on the outside, but on the inside, there is a lot going on beneath the surface. Not only was it a children's home, but it was also somewhere where people ended up bringing their deceased. A logical person would think, okay, that's weird, the adults must be handling that, but no. Mrs. Burton would perfectly teach the children of the house to handle this, to the point where any child coming out of that house would know exactly what they needed to run a mortuary. Caused Angie and the other children to grow up believing this is normal. This is just how things are supposed to be. But got this weird feeling something was off about the place. That maybe they shouldn't be doing the work they are doing. But never properly this feeling she got. Then one day, another kid came to the house. Her parents died, and that's why she was here. She actually had memories of her parents, but she had no documents and didn't know her real name. She remembered it started with a T because she was a tiefling. Miss Burton, as a time-saving effort, decided just to name her Teeves because that was more simple, and it fit her, as she said. Teeves didn't mind the name, but what she did mind was being forced to mess with dead bodies and prep them and all of the other stuff all of the kids were forced to do. Because she remembered that wasn't normal. She knew that wasn't normal. She was not happy about it. And Angie surprisingly ended up becoming quick friends with this girl. Both of them had the feeling something was wrong, but Teeves was the only one not scared to actually speak out. Teves couldn't take it anymore after she heard the comment from Mrs. Burton that one day they would just die here and their bodies would be dealt with in the same way. Mad that she confronted Mrs. Burton and attempted to fight for her freedom, and the offer was placed on the table. Could be free at any moment. They just had to fight her for their chance to leave. Nobody was brave enough to do that. Was brave enough, except Teves, who grabbed her sword and challenged Mrs. Burton for her freedom, and not just hers, for everybody's freedom. Teves would soon regret that decision when Mrs. Burton grabbed her in a firm hug and stabbed her clean in the abdomen and let her bleed out on the ground, leaving her as an example to the others, and simply leaving with these words: "This is what happens to those who disobey, like this child. I want her body dealt with by the sun setting tomorrow." She just stood there, frozen. She couldn't believe what just happened. Mrs. Burton killed somebody. She never thought she would do something like that, especially not to one of them. She thought they were safe, told them that she would never hurt them, but here they were, all there, looking at the body of Teves. Then one of the older kids spoke up. "Come on, let's get this dealt with." Started grabbing the body, picking it up, and moving it. Angie wanted to scream out, say, "That's my best friend. Just let me say goodbye," but she couldn't. She couldn't speak. She couldn't move. She couldn't do anything. Nothing. She could do nothing. She snapped, and for the first time ever, she did do something. Mrs. Burton. She left notes underneath and on all of the doors of the house, at least where the children were, telling them to get out. And when she knew they were all out, she slowly but surely started sprinkling lighter around the house so that it could burn down. Finally, she made it to Mrs. Burton's room, her box of matches in her hand. Well, behind her back, but still. And she only said this: "It's odd, you know? You raised us children not to fear death, but here you are. You're terrified, aren't you? You're scared that I might kill you." With that one sentence, she lit the match behind her back and dropped it. And Angie realized what happened. Well, she didn't know what happened. Something happened, but now the house was on fire, and she was inside. She needed to get out. She ran, grabbing only the cloak she was wearing and the necklace that Teves always wore. Grabbed her notebook, something that she held dear, something she barely wrote in because Mrs. Burton called it childish. This was something that she loved, something that calmed her down. Got into the forest and opened it. There was new writing in red ink. She didn't know what happened. What possibly happened? She ever wrote in that red pen. She has only used it a very, very few times, but yet here it was, clear as day, red pen, written words of what happened. She didn't know this was the plan. What did she do? She had no memory of any of this. To cry, she wanted to scream, but she just left and ran until she ended up tripping and spraining her ankle. And that is where she met the first member of her new party, Yuki. This person would go on to become like a mother figure to Angie, but when they first met, it was definitely rocky. Yuki did not believe Angie was a good person. I mean, who would blame her? A random 19-year-old put in the bed beside you, and she is acting fairly suspicious, not wanting to say anything about her actual life. Soon, Yuki learned more about Angie's backstory and what happened to her. Ended up getting a sense of protectiveness over Angie, to the point where it is joked upon from Angie and of their party, Yuri, that if anything ever happened to Angie and Yuki was to know about it, the person who either let that happen or did it would not be among the living for much longer. between Angie and Yuki is very strong, to the point where Yuki is usually the only one that can calm down, not Angie. The name of the creature that is inside of Angie. Angie has a very, very different personality than Angie. When Angie is very introverted and shy and doesn't resort to violence immediately and always likes helping, Not Angie is the exact opposite. Not Angie immediately resorts to violence, will very willingly kill, and doesn't exactly like helping or trusting people. The only person she actually trusts is Yuki. He, on the other hand, has a very, very different relationship with Not Angie. Despite Angie getting along with him quite well because of both of their very socially awkward and introverted natures, on the other hand, Not Angie definitely has a different personality than Angie has stated, and Yari definitely does love pushing Not Angie's buttons, despite how unintelligent that might be at certain times. Yes, the person who plays Yari, aka my DM, who is probably watching this right now, I did just say that. And no, I don't regret it. Dude was literally singing show tunes to calm himself down when we were in a hostage situation in the game. I'm being very serious to say this, in the game. I'm talking about a D&D one-shot. I'm not talking about real life. Do not take my video down. Please, YouTube, please. Some of the other members of the party include Yuki, the kind of vampire mom figure of Angie, who I have mentioned before. And we have a very creepy owl that I am happy died. Yes, player of Laxative. I mean your character. You know what you did. I can't say it on YouTube, though. I'm pretty sure you traumatized the DM. Hey, DM. Sorry again to my DM. I couldn't control what happened. I wish I could have stopped it. I don't think anyone there wanted what happened. I especially did not want my stuff getting stolen by a random hobo at Chuck E. Cheese. Once again, we are talking about D&D, okay? Not real life. I don't think I would trust any of these people I know in a Chuck E. Cheese. Maybe a few of them. Not Laxative. Laxative is not allowed near a Chuck E. Cheese. Someone keep Laxative away from the children. This is why we killed your character, Laxative. Future Ollie, please pull up the poll, but blur out the people's names so people won't go messaging them. Wait, a few other members of our party are Blobby. I love Blobby, though I don't think Blobby really likes Angie. Of events I did not think would happen. I mean, why was the fish sitting on the table out of water? And why did your character, DM, have vodka in his water bottle? It was a water bottle, not a vodka bottle. I think that's everyone. I think there is one more person. I'm sorry, I don't remember your character's name. But there's some Luffy character that we played with one time that is a cat boy. And it was definitely interesting. I think the character might have been a rogue, but I don't know for sure. Either way, Angie has pretty good connections with everyone in the party, except Laxative. Once again, Laxative, we hate you. Future Ollie, pull up the poll again. Laxative's player, you're the only one who voted for your own character to live. No one else wanted it. Everyone else wanted that character dead, including the DM. Either way, that is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this just as much as I did. And have a good evening, good night, or good day, no matter where you are. Goodbye! And don't forget to drink water. I know who you are. Drink the water.